Hello, it's Phillip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers. I'm looking at a book from Law Society Publishing. It's this little book here, 220 pages long, very colourful front cover. Privacy Law Handbook by Keith Mathieson and some contributors. It's part of the Legal Handbooks series. On the back you can see some of the blurb. The book itself is structured in the normal way with paragraph numbering, which is there, and at the back you've got a nice little index. You haven't got any footnotes, which you'll be pleased to hear about. There are some cases and various other bits and pieces, obviously Naomi Campbell's cases there and a few of the other really big ones. Elizabeth and I have written a review which is on Flickr and the web. We've given it the title, The First Port of Call for Privacy Practitioners, and that's what this is. I would advise you to read the book through in its entirety, because it's a much easier way of getting a better picture of the current law of privacy as it goes through changes with the retirement of Mr. Justice Eadie. Keith Mathieson and his team of 8 specialist contributors at Reynolds Porter Chamberlain LLP have produced what we call an excellent roadmap for privacy law, which is the Law Society's take on the subject. All the titles in this sort of legal handbook series are aimed at giving us a collection of expert specialist books specifically for us as lawyers, and very welcome they are. Our view is that books like this should really probably be the first port of call for practitioners, and we certainly feel with this one that if you're dealing with data control and freedom of information, that's the sort of thing you really might be going for straight away, because in 11 chapters and 5 appendices, Mathieson and his team have covered some substantial areas of privacy law in what is actually a sort of slimish volume. And it gives us what we need without reference to the big heavy tomes. Its dramatic and ambitious aims are actually in the book, but they are successful in this little handbook. Mathieson's mission is to produce a statement in about 100,000 words on the laws that govern the personal provision of privacy in the UK, and he's spot on in his evaluation of the last 10 years, which has seen dramatic changes concerning privacy, with the view that it's unrealistic to expect the pace of change to ease. Obviously things are changing with the development, say, of the internet and so on. What I like about this is that the solicitors firm, Reynolds Porter Chamberlain, have an online service which will update this, and I think that's a nice little device. It's used by OUP and a few other organisations as well, but I'm sure we're going to get more of this happening in the future. Another decision, as I say, is to limit the number of footnotes, in other words citations and references. So this is very much a book which you should read through, because you can then get a much better picture, I think, of where we stand with privacy law. Because I think one of the problems is that in the past we'd have our own views about what privacy means, and things have moved along a lot. We've reviewed many titles, of course, in this area of law in the past, and this particular work, in our view, offers a refreshing insight into the modern law via the use of the internet updates. And as I say, in chapter 2 on the breach of confidence issue, you must read that now in connection with the Human Rights Act, so you've got a good idea of where the supplementing of our basic knowledge has actually been sort of brought about by this book. English law has famously never recognised a general right of privacy, although ways have been found to protect a person's individual privacy in certain circumstances, as we well know. It may well be that change is on the way with the discrediting of the super injunction in some quarters, but this work, in our view, from Mathieson, will remain an excellent first port of call for all who want a quick overview of modern privacy law, and that's what you get. And thank you very much to Law Society Publishing and to Mathieson and his team. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.